Hello, everyone, and welcome to class. Hello, everyone. Welcome to DSA, Digital Africa, Digital Skill Up Africa. Sorry. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Nancy Baba Ali, the facilitator of project management. With me at the back end is Mr. Kingsley and my fellow team members. Uh, they send their regards. So, welcome to another class, and it's nice to have you all here. So, without further ado, we've been having a very eventful week, I guess. We've had an amazing week. I've had an amazing week with everybody from the likes of Stella, likes of is it Igabi, and so many amazing persons that have been adding to the class one way or another. We see you. We are grateful for your inputs and for constantly standing out as amazing support and contributing. They've been one of the persons that have been making the class quite interactive and very engaging. So thank you. Want to send my regards on that. Thank you. So this week we spoke about project scheduling and tools, and we were able to talk about a lot, or I was able to talk about a lot. We spoke about what we were meant to expect this week. We spoke about time management, scheduling. We spoke about activities, milestones, dependencies, excuse me, network diagrams, AOA diagrams, estimations, developing a schedule, Gantt charts, right? So, from what I have told you, what I was able to pick from the classes, I'm sure a lot of you were able to pick up some things too as well from your own end. So, if you do not mind, I'd like to know what you've learned so far from the week that I have been taking everybody. You. Oh, good evening, Stella. Good evening, Stephen. Welcome, everybody. Like I asked earlier, I said, can anybody tell me what they learned from the previous classes? I would really love to get not the normal people, usual people. I want to see new persons contributing to the class. Welcome, Grace. Welcome, Debbie. Welcome, Berlin. Hi, Stella. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Ajayi. Welcome to class. Oh, Oyetomi. Sorry, Oyetomi. Oyetomi said she had a very stressful week and he had to do his classes on transit. Sorry about that, but I hope you took some time to rewatch the videos and learned a little one or twos. Okay, Eunice is giving me more of the technicalities of what she learned. She said A for the chart. For the chart, A equals to 1, B equals to 2, and so on. Okay, that's still a start. That's a foot in the door. I don't know the expression. But yeah, that's one step ahead. Marvelous said, I learned that in project management, one should be able to prepare for any possible outcomes, either positive or negative, which is very true. Thank you so much for learning that, for picking that up in the last class. I learned about mergers and busts. Thank you, Anime. That's very good. Omar Laura said, I learned the importance of project schedules and their activities. Ooh, interesting. Um, Adesola said, I learned about the scheduling of projects and time management, which is also still very interesting and amazing that you were able to pick that. I learned about merger and nodes, tax dependencies, and their types. Was what F that said. That's very beautiful. Good evening, Viv. Um, Hamilton said he learned about setting milestones in a project. Okay. Milestones in a project. That's really nice. Thank you, Miracle. She said, good evening. I had a very beautiful day. Thank God. I hope you also had an amazing day. Olukotun said, I learned about knots, merger, and busts. That's then that we need to make smart goals. Oh, perfect. Perfect, Olukotun. Ebook Unolwa said, I learned that finishing a project doesn't mean that the end of the project continuous follow-up is required. Ojo said tax dependencies. Olajumoke said, I learned, good evening. I learned about scheduling of projects Gantt chart. That is so beautiful. Unsenam said, I learned about merger, bust, Gantt charts also. Beautiful. Chinenye Lime said, I learned about the methods of project management, the content of project management. This is so beautiful. Funto said, I learned about the network diagram, which shows the difference between bust and merge knots. And I got to know that PDM is best to explain dependency in projects. I also learned the types of PDM tags. I'm glad. I also learned about Chinyinya. Stella said ADM, arrow diagramming method. Beautiful. Adi said I was able to understand the Gantt charts. Yay! That's very beautiful. Learned about the sequencing activities from Mayos. Beautiful. I was absent from the previous class because my week is eventful. Edith Sampson. Okay, Edith, you can always rewatch the classes so that you'd be up to date and it wouldn't be so much of a hassle for you to catch up with the class, right? And then you can be able to find your teams. I learned about management and project leveling. Creepy Lord. Hmm, that's really nice. Siphon said, I learned about AOA, PDM, tax dependencies, types, and Gantt chart and smart milestones. Tinyenye finally finished. She said, I learned that project management has many dependencies. Everybody here is right on track, and I'm really impressed. Joy James said, good evening, Nancy. Oh, good evening. It's good to see you again. Yesterday was interesting. I learned about AOA, process of creating diagrams, and lots more. Thank you, Joy. I hope you had a great day, and I can't see you, but it's nice to have you in class. Gladys said, I learned precedence diagramming method where activities are represented by boxes and arrows. Thank you, Gladys, for that input. Hi, Aina. Punto said, please can you give a recap on Gantt chart? Oh my goodness. Please can you rewatch the class Punto from the previous one? It was pretty much very explanatory. But I will still do like maybe a brush through for onto today. Oh, Damilara said, good evening, Mrs. Nancy. It's Miss. Thank you. Good evening, class. God bless us all. Amen. God bless you too. Stella said, I learned that Gantt charts makes work easier and used to calculate time frame. Stella. Stella said, I have learned a lot from project schedules, activity lists, and attributes to what a milestone is, what network diagram is, Gantt charts, and SMART criteria, which is specific, measurable, etc. Great Minds said, good evening, Nancy. Good evening, Great Minds. Modupe said, I learned about Gantt chart and the dependencies of precedence diagramming SSFS, FFSF. Oh, that's really nice. So for people that I don't know, we could have a little recap, please. What is the meaning of SS, FS, FF, and SF as dependencies? Oh, Miles. Hello, Mayo. Nice to have you in class. Okay, Mayo said start to start. I also learned that milestones is a significant event that normally has no duration from Olubaju Ezekiel. Very good point. So John Collins said, didn't learn anything specifically, just an introspection about all that's been taught. And it gives me an enlightenment on the importance of project planning and proper management. That's interesting. That's a very unique feedback. Nice one, John Collins. I learned about arrow diagramming. A1 means activity A has a duration of 1 day. Yeah. You also have to be clear when doing um you have to be clear with your assumptions when you are doing your graph or your diagram so that it can be very comprehensive for everybody and not just yourself. Thank you. So Oluwaseun finally answered my question. She said, start to finish to start to start, finish to finish. Thank you for answering it. So did Alabi. So did Modupe. Tobilola too. Okay, did. Mayos did. Okay. Chinyenye, thank you. Well done, everyone. Hi, AG baby. Welcome to class. Stephen Tile said he learned about diagram method, PDM, tax dependency, type, estimating activity resources. And he also learned about Gantt charts and adding milestones to Gantt charts. Smart criteria. In Nwachukwu Debbie, honestly, I do not know how many classes you've missed. Maybe there are some you attended. I can't really keep track of everybody, Debbie. But you can just check from your end. So yeah, that's all this that everyone has told me that they learned is very amazing. I'm very impressed by everyone. Well done. A round of applause. Clap, clap. So we could just do a brief recap. I could just go through the slides and then, oh wow, this is your first class. There are a lot. Joy James, in regards to the slides being shared, from the back end, from our end, we have given the slides out, but I don't know whether it has fully reached your end, your platforms. But rest assured, I'm sure the team are working on that. Rest assured, you'll definitely get the slides. Do not do not fret, do not worry. Okay, Oluwatful says that she learns um Google, the Google apps have can be used as a form of project management. Great. Great. Okay. Thank you, Mayus, for speaking to your colleagues. She said you can find the previous classes, Joy, so that you can um, catch up with where we are. That was very thoughtful of you, so thank you. Hi, Elizabeth. You haven't missed much. Welcome to class. So, yeah, let's get right into today, shall we? Alexander said he understood Gantt charts more than other charts. If you could understand Gantt charts, most likely you would be able to understand every other diagram. It's pretty much the same thing. So let's move. So this was pretty much what we mentioned that we were supposed to expect in the class, what we meant to expect from these classes, and I hope you have been able. There are some things you can tick off. So we spoke about understanding what the objectives were was that you were meant to be able to understand the importance of project schedules and good time management. I think we can check that off the list. Uh, we also okay. So the team said you will definitely get your slides soon. So please be patient. Yeah. So the second was that we're meant to discuss the process of planning schedule management. I think we have done that too. We're supposed to define activities as the basis for developing project schedules. I'm sure we can tick that off too. You should be able to describe how project managers use network diagrams and dependencies to assist in activity sequencing. That can be ticked off too. Understand the relationship between estimating resources and project schedule. That could be tick off too. And explain how various tools and techniques help project managers perform activity duration estimates. I think we did that too. So these are things that we were able to achieve, right? And in the second objectives, part two, Uh, One of them is to be able to use a Gantt chart for planning and tracking schedule, information, find the critical part of a project, and describe how critical change schedule. We're still on that. We've pretty much been able to handle some of the tasks, right? And then we also talked about how you're supposed to understand time management in address using agile. That's something we would be looking more into, and discuss how reality checks and disciplines are involved in controlling and managing changes to the project schedule. And lastly, describe how project management software can assist in project time management and review words of caution before using the software. Thank you. So let's get right to today's slides. So we've been able to take out roughly one, two, three, four, five, six, seven out of 10, right? Okay, so Damilare asked the question. He said, what is the purpose of tax dependency in Microsoft projects? So it's pretty much to help let you know the relationship. Um, you could understand the whole ROE, right, and the dependencies, the FF and SF and SS and FS, right? So pretty much what it's meant to help you do is that it's meant to help you understand the relationship, help you understand what tax you are supposed to prioritize, what tax are supposed to be first, what tax are supposed to be last, what tax can you start and then move into another and start. What it's just meant to show you the relationship of the schedule and the flow of the project. I hope I've been able to answer that question, Damilare. Great. So yeah, that's just pretty much what it means. So moving to today's text. So here we could just read through as fast as possible so that we can get it get to yeah. Stella added something, made a contribution. She said no activity can stand on its own. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for always contributing. God bless you too, Damilare. So we spoke about project time management process, which we had some of the processes, which is planning, schedule management, defining activities, sequencing activities, estimating activity resources, estimating activity durations, developing the schedule, controlling the schedule. We also spoke about under project schedule management, the um, process too as well, and methodologies that involve it, which is the scheduling methodology, control threshold, rules of performance measurement, reporting formats, process descriptions, and project schedule, model development, uh, and defining activities, where we spoke about an activity or task is an element of work normally found on the work breakdown structure, WBS, that has an expected duration, a cost, and resource requirement. The second point is activity definition involves developing a more detailed WBS and supporting explanations to understand all the work to be done so you can develop realistic cost and duration estimation. What this point is just saying in a nutshell is that it's just meant for you not to be able to be biased with your with your um with your own research, or with your own ideas, rather than you just believing yourself that you know it, that you know it all, rather than doing research and affecting your project without having proper resources, proper estimations, proper calculations, proper determinations, and proper research, like I mentioned, in order to help the activities to is successful, to lead your team members to a successful project, right? Sorry, Elizabeth, that your network is against you. So, activity lists and attributes, we spoke about logical relationships, we spoke about constraints, resource requirements, pros and cons, leads and lags, depending on how you want to put it. We spoke about imposed dates and assumptions related to the activity. Also spoke about activity list, how you should go about it, how you're supposed to have your name, the name of the activity, identifier, or a brief description of the activity. Like, for example, I'm going to give you DSA, Digital Skillup Africa, being the organization. As example, then we have activity name, project management course. Then you could say activity identifier or number by Nancy Baba Ali, and a brief description of the activity. Facilitator, meant to help educate and infuse knowledge to persons that are willing to learn about project management as a career path. That is just an example. So that form of method is one of the best ways to help with your activity listing or profiling. So we spoke about milestones. A milestone is a significant event that normally has no duration. It often takes several activities and a lot of work to complete it. A milestone. They are useful tools for setting schedule goals and monitoring progress. Examples include obtaining customer sign off one on key documents or completions of specific products. So yeah, so and somebody actually even said it in the comment section about milestones having very little duration, longer duration periods than normal um, tasks and phases of um, short frame or shorter period projects. So yeah, that's pretty much. I was much more explanatory about that in the. I was pretty much explanatory about that in the previous class. So yeah, we could just move on so that those so that we can move on to today's class. I'm just doing a quick recap of everything as much as possible and as fast as possible. We mentioned that we have three types of dependencies: mandatory, discretionary, and external dependencies. This is just on an overview, on a brief overview of everything. Mandatory is pretty much, as you hear the name, mandatory. It means that you have to follow the mandates, you have to follow the rules, you have to follow the guidelines, you have to live up to the expectations. You have to live up to the expectations that the company, organization, or project manager has implemented for the team members. And then we have discretionary dependencies. This give you some form of diplomacy. This give the team members some form of diplomacy to be able to have free will to make some decisions, not fully based on that of the organizations. They feel these are decisions that will help the project be easier or will help in giving good impact in the project itself. And then for the third, which is external dependencies, this is when you involve third parties involved. Sometimes I give an example in the last class that most of the time this may be um, event bonding or team bonding practices. This may be totally out of the project itself, just to make sure that the team bonds and the team members and stakeholders are all in the same page, depending on what kind of project you're handling and how long the period may be. So next we have network diagrams. On the network diagrams, we spoke about sequencing, we spoke about relationships, we spoke about arrows, the AOA. Yes, that somebody was saying he doesn't understand or she doesn't understand, but it wasn't as complex. I made sure to explain it. So, like, I'm going to still explain. I said, as you could see, there are circles or not, depending how you want what you want to call them, and we have arrows that uh, direct shows you a form of direction, right? And in those directions, you could see that they all have where they're pointing to. Some are interconnecting, some are on their own. The ones that are on their own, the ones that are on their own are called busts, while those that are together are called mergers, right? I explained that. I explained how you assume and you make sure that you are clear on your assumption on how you wish to calculate the diagram or on what formula you decide to pick to use in calculating. But I used a very simple format, which is assuming A is equals to 1, which stands for 1 stands for a duration, while B equal to 2, meaning 2 duration and 2 days for a node or a task, right? And then the flows and how number 2, 3 are interconnecting with D. There you have a merger. And 3 and 6 are also, sorry, yeah, 2 and 3 are connecting, which is a merger. And how 3 connects with 5 and 6 is also a merger, right? So I explained that. Well, on their own, they're busts. Yes, Ijai said mergers are together and busts are on their own. Thank you so much for adding. Who else added? I saw someone adding. Oh, thank you so much, Philip. Sorry, Matthew, about the network issue. So yeah, I also have the next slide which explains about the ADM, which is the arrow diagramming method, which is what you saw about how each of the activities on the diagram are called AOA. Those are network diagrams. It's just like, for example, you saying, just call them networks. Just call them networks. Like you connecting or people connecting. Just see it that way. The arrows are more like a connection that, follows through one server. And at this point, we could call the server a project, right? So it just shows the flow, it just shows the correspondence, it just shows the overview, but in a diagram manner on how the project is supposed to navigate and how it's supposed to be. So it's like I said, nodes or circles at the starting and ending points of activities can only show finish to start dependencies, right? Uh, yeah. So we also have the next slide, which is process of creating AOA diagrams. You have to draw knots or circles, put a letter or name, duration estimates, or arrows. Continuing drawing the network, working from left to right, which is the left being the starter point, right being the end. Continuing drawing the occurs a merge is occurs when two or more nodes precede a single node, and then bursts occur when a single node is followed by two or more activities, right? Yeah. So as a rule of thumb, all arrows should face forward, should face toward the right, and no arrows should cross on an AOA network diagram. So the next slide, which is PDM, precedence diagram method. Activities are represented by boxes, unlike the unlike the ADM, which is arrow diagramming. The PDM is more of um, the PDM is more of boxes rather than circles or nodes. Yeah, PDM is more of rectangles or squares, depending on what you want to call it. Then arrows show relationship rather than just moving in a direct format. The arrows here have more of relationships, have more of dependencies at this point, and then more popular than ADM methods are used by project management software, better at showing different types of dependencies. So we have on the next slide, tax dependency types. I'm sure for the person that came to the class for the first time, I'm sure you were hearing of FS, SS, FF, FS, sorry, SF. So as you can see, FS means finish to start, SS means start to start, F to F means finish to finish, and start to finish means SF. So as you can see for FS, tax B, the arrow points from A to B. So tax B cannot start until tax A finishes. This is more of waterfall. It's a direct flow. It's A, B, C, D, and no way other, or 1, 2, 3. There is no way you can go around it. It has to be in a orderly manner. And then for start to start, we have tax B cannot start until tax A starts, meaning that even though you want to go ahead with tax B, tax A has to reach some certain percentage before you can start tax B. It's a bit flexible than A to B. And then we have finish to finish. Tax B cannot finish until tax A finishes, meaning that there are incomplete parts that A has to clarify before B can proceed. And then we have, before B can also close, A has to be clearly accomplished before B can also be clearly accomplished. And then SF, which is tax B cannot finish until tax A starts, So this start to finish, it just pretty much means that you cannot finish a task until you are done with task A, right? So yeah, that's it for this slide. We spoke about estimating activity resources, which is before estimating activity durations, you must have a good idea of the quantity and type of resources that will be assigned to each activities. Resources are people, equipment, and materials. Do not forget, as a project manager, people that are working on the project are called resources. The materials that you use, be it sand, paper, um, sub, what do you call it, a service, or anything, it is pretty much called um, materials or equipment, right? So that means materials. Well, equipment, this may be tools, equipment may be tools, maybe softwares, maybe methodologies that you use. Those are called equipment. Elizabeth, you just come into class. It's a recap of everything. So don't fret. We haven't gotten into today's classes yet. So consider important issues in estimating resources. How difficult will it be to do specific activities on this project? What is the organization's history in doing similar activities? Are they required? Are the required resources available? So when you're estimating in a project, you have to make sure that you are understanding if the or you have to do research about the organization. Is this a project that they have handled before? Are they just maybe revisiting this project, this type of project, or this is their first time handling this kind of project? Also, what is the organization's history in doing similar activities? If they've been able to do this kind of project before, were they successful? Was it bad? Was it good? Was it just in the middle? You just need to, have that information to it under your graphs. And are the required resources available? Do these organizations have the resources that you need, or you have to outsource, or you have to get new service providers in order to handle this project? These are things you have to put into consideration. Then for the next slide, which is activity duration estimating. We have durations, which includes the actual amount of time worked on an activity. Effort is the number of work days or work hours required to complete a task. Effort does not normally equal duration. People doing the work should help create estimates, as an expert should review them. So in this last point, I'm sure you might say that as a project manager, everything's supposed to be in your bowl, right? But no, you're also supposed to get feedback from your team members. How long is it supposed to take? And then you can strategically review it. If it's a project you've handled before, you can then review it and find out, okay, um, this is way too much time that you've placed for this project. This can be handled in 3 days rather than a whole week that you're requesting for. The new time frame or deadline for this task or activity should be 3 days, right? Being firm on it because you have reviewed it or you have worked on it before. Yes. Debbie, yes, this is a recap of pretty much the last and the first class of the week. So we have developing the schedule, uses results of the other time management processes to determine the start and date and end date of the project. Ultimate goal is to create a realistic project schedule that provides a basis for monitoring project progress for the time dimension of the project. Important tools and techniques include Gantt charts, critical path analysis, and critical chain scheduling and part analysis. Right, this is what we spoke about in the previous class. So for the Gantt chart, I was able to show the class what a Gantt chart looks like. I was able to show the class what a Gantt chart looks like, and they were able to fully understand it in very good time. And before anybody asks me again, PERT analysis means program evaluation and review technique. It's also a methodology in sorry, in project management. It is helpful for you to be able to track down durations and help you to plan properly and to be able to figure out what are the laps or lags or cons in your project, right? Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. So for the next slide, yeah, for the next slide is the Gantt chart itself. Gantt chart provides a standard format for displaying project schedule information by listing project activities and their corresponding start and finish date in calendar format. For new persons, a Gantt chart is simply like your calendar, but with very much more features than your normal calendar. In your normal calendar, you just put input of days, of times, and what you feel may be able to align in your schedule for the day, just typical normal day to day planning. But in a Gantt chart, you have many much features. You have dependencies, you have networks, you have diagrams, you have connections, you have the dependencies, like I mentioned earlier. You have so many other features. You have the scheduling itself. You have yes, Dion, there will be a break by 8 p.m. So yeah, it's just pretty much like that, and you get to see it and you'll be able to understand it. So some of the symbols that you'll be able to find in a Gantt chart is a black diamond, which is a milestone, a thick black bars, which is summary tasks, lighter horizontal bars, which is durations of tasks, and arrows dependencies between tasks. This is the last class of the week, so I can use the weekend to catch up. Sure, Elizabeth. Sure. So this is the Gantt chart itself. Yeah, this is um, this is the Gantt chart itself. As you can see, there are dependencies as well. We have dependencies that go from F to S. You can see from A to D that are pretty much not on the same day, but on different days. And then you can also see some durations. Okay, let me explain the chart again. We have the days of the week, right, which are in SMTW TFSSS, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we can see from the top, it is the whole week itself, August to 15. This is a very old time frame, but it's just an example. And then you can see the tags being listed A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Sometimes most of this are you have to rename them. A could be research, B could be research, C could be implementations, D could be active active delegations of work. E could be reporting and the likes of that. Right. So that's just how that's why it's also written up there as tax name. And then if you can also see, you see Monday, A has a short time frame, meaning that the whole task can be done on a Monday. B has Monday, Tuesday, being 2 days for the duration of the work. C has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the whole duration of the task or activity that should be covered, right? And so you can see the dependency of how A has to finish in order for D, which is supposed to start on Tuesday to Friday, right? From Tuesday to Friday, Monday has to finish. You have to finish the tax on Monday in order to be able to start the tax on Tuesday. And even though B and C start from Monday to Wednesdays, you still have to make sure that you have accomplished all of this before you can start another task on Tuesday to Friday. So the whole intersections, the whole networking, the whole diagrams, the whole dependency shows the important events or accomplishments on project, and normally create milestones by entering tasks with a duration, or you can mark any task as a milestone. Miracle is not your time for, excuse me, for attendance. So yeah, like it stated, milestones take longer sometimes. Milestones usually take longer to be able to achieve. So there are also features like that. There are also features like that you'll be able to see in a Gantt chart. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, it's a recap of Monday, Tuesday, since today's Thursday. The last topic is supposed to happen today, and I'm just trying to do a very quick recap so that we can jump into today's class by the second half and finish because it's not much, it's just 10 slides. And then we can go have a restful day for those that maybe had a very long day, and some that might be on transit, maybe to the house, and some might be at work too. So, yeah, that was fun. So back to what we're discussing. So we spoke about SMART criteria, which I love to talk about, SMART goals, um, in project management, digital marketing, data analytics, web development, any form of corporation, organization, ministry, agency that you find yourself in, you must be able to know how to utilize SMART goals. SMART goals meaning S for yes, Dion. SMART goals, S stands for specific, meaning that you have to be clear, you have to be concise, you have to be on point, you have to be clear, you have to communicate clearly on what you really need, what should be done, and what you will do. Measurable. Are you sure you can achieve this? How long is the period that you'll be able to achieve this for? What is the time frame that you'll be able to achieve this? And just you pretty much calculating, reviewing, researching, and making sure that it's something that you can have a distinctive period or has a distinctive amount that you have to achieve. Assignable, is it something, or attainable? Assignable, attainable, depending on which field. Assignable meaning um, how are you going to assign it? How are you going to achieve it? How are you going to um, get it? How are you going to implement it? Well, attainable is how are you going to receive it? How are you going to be able to process it? How are you going to be able to achieve the goal? Realistic. You have to be very realistic. You should not just calculate bizarrely. You should not just in sorry, Steven had something to add. Um In other instances, assignable is interchangeable with attainable. Yes, like I mentioned. Yeah. Um, Assignable is something that you can attain, like you said. So sorry, realistic. Realistic, you have to be very real with yourself. You cannot be biased. As much as we're humans and we feel this will be better, but you have to make sure that the research tallies with your emotions. You can't even put your emotions in this kind of situation. You have to be as platonic as possible. You have to be non-biased as possible. You have to be as realistic as possible, because you do not want yourself failing or your team members or leading people astray or the project astray. Yes, you have to be very realistic. And time frame or time bound, you have to have a distinctive time period or a duration or a time frame that you know should be achievable to not just yourself but to your team members, to the project itself at large, and to the goal that you have set as a project manager. Thank you, Yemisi. So we have CPM, which is critical path method. CPM is a network diagramming technique used to predict total project duration. A critical path for a project is the series of activities that determine the earliest time by which the project can be completed. The critical path is the longest path through the network diagram and has the least amount of slack or float. Slack or float is the amount of time an activity may be delayed without delaying or a succeeding activity or the project finish date. CPM is just pretty much saying that this form of methodology is just explaining to you that you you have to be very specific. You have to be very clear on the time frame that you have written for the project. Sorry about that. That you have written or penned down, or in whatever form that you wish to put, diagram, word. You just have to make sure that the method is something that you can predict. It's something that the flow is constant. It's not something that will be able to mess up the project, which hence um, um introduces slack or float. Sorry, my hair. Which hence introducing slack or float is the amount of time an activity is being delayed without delaying a succeeding activity or the project finish date. So yeah, that's it for CPM. Um, okay, so there's going to be the attendance is about to start, and Stephen asked, Nancy, please, is the new slide part of the review or today's lecture? Yeah, it's still definitely going to be in there. We are just reviewing as fast as possible so that we can meet up for persons that were not able to make it in the previous classes, and so that everybody just is carried along, so that the new topics is something that we are refreshing and talking ourselves about. It's not something we spoke about and just forgot about. It's something that we still have to revisit to fully land on the last topics, right? So yeah. So calculating the critical path. Yes, Grace, it has a lot of um path abbreviations. So it's time for attendance. Let's just take a quick break, and we'll be back and we'll be able to finish the class in good time. Thank you. Welcome back, class. Um, it seems like a lot of persons are having issues with their attendance. That is being sorted out by the team. Do not worry. Thank you, Priscilla. Welcome back to class. Welcome back, Ace. So yeah, the slides, please. So yeah, I'm trying to display the slides. Sorry, it's taking a minute. So please, can the team help me to share the slides, please? Can you see my screen, please, everybody? Okay, so nobody can see my screen. Nobody can see the slides. How about now? Okay, thank you, Esther. Great. So we are at calculating the critical path, right? Let's go straight into it so that we can um, finish early. I hope we can finish early today so that I think was it Viv that said she wants to go eat. So yeah. So when calculating a critical path, you have to first develop a good network diagram. And what is a good network diagram? I'm going to show you this picture again so that you can remember it. This is a good network diagram. Back. So you also have to add the duration estimates for all activities on each path through the network diagram. The longest path is the critical path in a critical path diagram. And then if one or more of the activities on the critical path takes longer than planned, the whole project schedule will slip unless the project manager takes corrective action. So, in a critical path, what it's just trying to say is that when you have your assumptions or your formula down, you have to make sure that in each part you are clear, you are distinctive of each and every step. That is a formula that everybody can comprehend to, that even yourself can comprehend to with ease. Do not go and pick a formula that you cannot remember how you even got there. I would always advise that you use a very easy assumption, use easy, calm, and understandable assumptions for your level. You can use basic assumptions of A is equal to 1 day, A equal to 1, which is assumptions of 1 being a day, B being 2, assumption being that 2 days is what you're taking in doing that task in a duration in a project, sorry, and the likes of that. And then the longest part is the most critical part, meaning that I in in the longest part it means like the whole diagram, what has the what has the most longevity, right? Which of the calculations seem to be the most longest that you have to clearly follow. You have to be most critical with that calculation, or with the formula, or with the diagram, or with the methodology that you've chosen. And then in the last point it says if one or more of the activities of the critical part takes longer than planned, the whole project schedule will slip. So this is just saying that, for example, how we said A equals to 1, meaning that 1 day duration span, B equals to 2, meaning 2 days duration span, 3 C equals to 3, meaning 3 days in a duration span. If you exceed the time, like for example, A is 1 that you've taken, B is 2, and then you see yourself finding yourself doing 3 to 4 days that you've calculated that you're supposed to just do two in um class B, right? In node B, in subsection B of, let me not speak too much. In plan B, let me just say in B, that you've planned that you're going to do two. And then instead of doing 2 days, it then takes you 4 days. It has completely scattered your whole diagram, your whole dynamic. It has spoiled the whole project for you, unless you are willing on, and it is a must that you go back and you reevaluate this and um, do the proper thing, which is to clear the whole diagram and redo it. That is the only option. You just have to redo it, because if you say, or you smartly find a way to readjust it, but if you do not have the know-how of how to smartly update the diagram or properly adjust it, I advise you to just start all over again. Take your time, start all over again. It's never a death sentence that you have to re-evaluate yourself one too many times, or three too many times, or four too many times, because at the end of the day it is your name on the line, it is your reputation on the line, right? So that's also very important. So in the next slide, we have a diagram. In the next slide, we have a diagram, which is this. So if you can notice, in path one, right, we have ADHJ. That's from 1 to sorry, ADHJ, sorry. So that's from 1, 4, 6, and 3. It equals to 14 days. Steven, do you want me to go back in the whole diagram or in the explanation that I made? Because it's the diagram, I'm starting all over again. I just explained it, and now I'm just going to explain it with the diagram up. So in azimuth duration are in days, which is number one, which is the first node, number two, three, four, five, six, seven, which are the nodes, and then we have a equal to one, which is in node, which is in arrow AOA one, and in on under another node one we have three arrows, which is AOAs that link you to two, three, and four, right? So in this assumption, we're assuming that each of the alphabets that we are equal toing are in days. So A that we've put is 1 is 1 day. B that we've put as 2 is 2 days. C that we've put as 3 is 3 days. So in path 1, which is the first assumption that we're going to do, is A equal to 1 and D equal to 4 and H equal to 6 and J equal to 3. If you're going to calculate all the flow process that goes from 1 to 5 and 6, which is A to D to H to J, you will see that everything sums up to 14 days in total. Okay, so a lot of people are not understanding this. Okay, let me give a practical, let me try looking for a practical real life example to help you with this. So, everybody follow with me. We're together now. We're together. I want you to look at the slides and you can see that we have ADHD, BEHE. You have seen this diagram before. This is not new to you, right? Everybody, I'm sure you've seen this diagram before. You have seen this diagram before. We have clearly stated that. But then follow the arrows. Thank you very much, Mayos. Moyo is about critical. Follow the arrows. Thank you so much, Mayos. I didn't know how else to break it down. The arrow is supposed to start from the left all the way to the right. And as you can see, each arrow is indicating to a node. And under those nodes and right under the arrows are also descriptions. So let's say, for example, we're handling this let's say we're handling an event and node one is let's say node one is hall, right? Let's say hall. I'm always going to use this example. Let's say node one is hall, and under node one being hall, you have A equals to 1. When you put A equals to 1, it means that on that one day, let's say node A is you getting in touch with the hall manager or whatever is in charge of the ministry of the hall. When you calculate it, you'll say, okay, under A, we're going to describe it as acquiring the hall. And then B is payment for the hall. And then C is contract and necessary documentations for the hall. So in A, when you have first defined that number one is the hall, you then say, okay, under one, which is the hall itself, the subsection or the activity under the arrow for A is equal to 1, and under A is hall acquisition or hall inquiry. So this is when you call the manager or whoever is in charge or whatever ministry and confirm, oh, we want to book this hall on this day, and how do we go about it? Is this something that we have to meet with you? Is there a process? This is not supposed to take more than 1 day. right? And day two, let's say it is the acquisition day when you are supposed to acquire the hall. And in the process of acquiring the hall, you realize that it's not just payment. You have to go to the bank, you have to meet the manager, you have to hear the terms, you have to go to maybe a ministry, you have to pay maybe tax, you have to pay for cleaning services. There is more of a breakdown. This is you trying to execute it. This is you trying to execute getting um, the event hall or the space. And then C, and then B takes you more than 2 days. Sorry, it takes you more than a day. So you have to, let's say you take day one to meet the manager, meet whoever is in charge, meet security to get all that you need to get for, maybe they need your ID cards and all of this. And then day two, you decide that, okay, to day two is the day I'm going to go and take this, the payment and the slips, and sorry, to make payment and clarify that I have achieved the whole, I have paid for the whole and all of that. And then for C, this is when you finally get the documentations, get the contracting, get everything. And maybe because most of these things are taking longer period than you expected, you spend 3 days in just acquiring just not one. Do you, I hope you understand, right? I hope you understand. So it's just a process, it's just a process, it's just a process, it's just a process. So in not three, somebody said not two, not three is confusing you. When it is moving on its own, it's called a bus. But when it is merging, under three, you have to make sure that you accomplish some level of um the tax in order to do five and in order to do six, meaning that three is is a very important tax that you have to do. If you do not do three, if you do not do three, that means tax five and tax six are in chaos. You cannot do anything. You understand? It means that you cannot proceed. So number three is very important for you to be able to achieve number five and number six. That is just what it means. That is just what it means. I hope you understand that. Thank you. Thank you. So in part one, you can see that maybe under event hall, let's say note two is event planning, note five is vendors, note six is um pre-setup, and then eight is the final day of the event. And note three could be securing of sounds, materials and resources. Note four um could be logistics, right? So many, you could define so many activities on each of the nodes, and then the arrows are subsections or more descriptions of what the job of what the project is. Oh my god. So I hope you understand. I really hope you understand. Afolabi asked the question. I can't find it because it has gone way above. Please, I have a question. How do I arrive at this diagram? Who draws the diagram and what will bring about this review? Okay, Afolabi, you are the one to draw this diagram as a project manager, and you get to this diagram because you want to be able to critically be able to analyze your project, and also it is a network diagram. And not just is it a network diagram, it is also an ADM. It has features of ADM. You understand? Yes, you're the one. You are in charge. You're a project manager. You're the one that's supposed to draw it. You will draw it in your own time. So don't worry, this slides will still come to you. And I pray that when you rewatch this, you'll be able to understand it. Because we're taking so much time on just this. God knows how long your each activity. Yes, Mayos. Mayo said something very important. She said you are the one that knows how long each activity will take. So hence you calculating. It's just like, for example, you sit down in your office today and you say, okay, I want to use 2 hours to do let's say to collect data from every department. I want to use 3 hours after that 2 hours to be able to analyze that data before I close. So that is a clear definition of your time. That's a clear definition of what you want to do. You've been specific about what you want to use the next 5 hours of your life to do. That's pretty much as this. You are clearly stating, I don't want us to spend more than 2 days to acquire the hall. I don't want us to spend more than 3 days to make payments. I don't want us to spend 1 week in total on just hall alone. That is just for A. That is just for node one. So Stephen asked the question, I need a clarification though. If any of the nodes take a longer time than earlier schedule, is only the network diagram we are to redraw and start the project all over. You are just to redraw the diagram. You cannot start the project all over again. You have to revisit the diagram and reevaluate it because one wrong timing has scattered your whole diagram. So you have to make sure that your diagram is concise. That's why I told you you have to do research. You have to be very clear and you cannot just be biased on your own thinking. Most of the time, if you go to the bank and you say that you want to make payments, you might end up meeting, if not because of things are now easier, that you might not meet line and all of those things, there might not be a customer rush. But what if you go on a Monday where you have to meet some particular department whereby you have to do bulk payment? Mondays, Tuesdays are very busy days in the banks. So you have to remove that, okay, on Monday, Tuesday, because you cannot be waiting till Wednesday, Thursday before you go to the bank. You have to put a tax at that time that will help proceed and it's and cover some activities before you make such payments, right? So these are just examples that I'm trying to give so that you'll be able to understand that in order for you to move to a step, you have to be clear and you have to make sure that each and every flow of your charting is something that corresponds with the activities that will be done on the project. We are really taking so much time. I really want us to finish the slides today. Please, let us move on. Thank you. So using critical path analysis to make schedule trade-offs, free slack or free float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the early start of any immediately following activities. Total slack or total float is the amount of time an activity may be delayed from its early start without delaying the planned project finish date. A forward pass through the network diagram determines the early start and finish date. A backward pass determines the late start and finish dates. So if you pretty much read this, right, this is also telling you that no matter how you do this planning, there will be times that it will 70% never be accurate. It will 70% most likely not be accurate. And you are supposed to put slack days too as well. You are supposed to put in, let me not even put slack. You're supposed to put time for challenges and setbacks. That's what free slack and free float means. Challenges and setbacks that you would see. in your calculation. So always make sure to put in time frames for all these challenges. Instead of assuming that, oh, in 2 days we'll be done with this task, instead of putting that to, make sure to put 3 days, just to be on the safer side. Let your project have maybe one day over, it's fine. But as far as you are sure that it can be achieved in that realistic time, you're good to go. And then we also have the forward pass, which is the early start and early finish. It means that there are most of the times that in the diagrams you'll be able to see that you move like everything is just going as you have predicted. And because of how everything is going well as you have predicted, you even have more time on your hands because of you have estimated correctly, and you did the work, you did the job too well, and you are able to achieve 80% of what you have already set on stone that you were going to take was going to take maybe 2 weeks, and then you are then noticing that it's just taking 1 week and maybe 2 days to be able to achieve this. You'll be happy with that. So there's a forward pass and then there's a backward pass, which is late start and late finish. Maybe because you started the project late means that the finish date might not tally. So these are also some of the methodologies or some of the formulas you can use to be able to plan your diagram properly. Yes, yes, Christian Tommy. Yes, Olushola, Mikel. Yes, thank you so much for understanding. So the next slide we're supposed to enter. Do not be scared. This is a table float. This is a table float and a table slack. So instead of it being diagram form, this is in a tabular form, right? And it's just pretty much also showing you if you check, you'll see tax name, which is ABCD to J. You'll see start. These are the days that you've put that okay, you're going to start on these days. And we used 8th of that's September 3rd, 15, and then finish. You're supposed to finish um that same September 3rd, 15. And late start, meaning that if you are not starting on third, you should not you should make sure to start it on fifth. That is you compromising. Excuse me. You must make sure that you must at least start on fifth. That's 2 days grace in this calculation if you look at it. And late finish, which is 8, that same day, which is 8th of 5th, 15. You must make sure that that tax must be done. Because have you ever noticed that, sorry, thank you very much. August. God bless you, Pamela. God bless you, Stephen. August. Thank you, everybody. August instead of September. Yes. So August 3rd, 2015. We used the back date. Sorry about that. You might help me with my laptop charger, please. So as you can notice that the total slack, there's free slack and then there's total slack. Free slack, which means that these are the time frames that you have put that okay, you have compromised for it, but in total, this is the total number of slack that you should be willing to accommodate on the project. So under the bars, we have tax name, start, late Olamide, maybe it's from your end, which means that the total slack day that we've set for August 3rd is that it will start 2 days after. It cannot pass that. It must be at least 2 days after. So hence that continues all the way down. Don't worry. maybe it's from your end that you cannot see me. So, using the critical path to shorten a project schedule, there are three main techniques for shortening schedules: shortening durations of critical activities slash tasks by adding more resources or changing their scope, crashing activities by obtaining the greatest amount of schedule compression for the least incremental cost, and then fast tracking activities by doing them in parallel or overlapping them. So these are just telling you that these are the techniques you can use in order to be able to help with your tabular form or your diagram. It's up to you. You can choose the diagram, you can choose to use tabular form. Diagram form is more easier for you to be able to for people to see because of the nodes, while tabular form is also easy for people to see and read and understand because of it's at your own discretion. So sometimes you tend to see that some of the activities you've put are even unnecessary in the calculations or in your tax bar. So you could crash them out, you could cancel them out, and then fast tracking, meaning that you have to make sure to nobody likes rush work, but you have to lap some of the activities. Like for example, you have to delegate two persons to one task. That's what it means by fast tracking. Just multitasking or multi-dependency on on your materials or resources. That's what it means. Then importance of updating critical path data. It is important to update project schedule information to meet time goals for a project. The critical path may change as you enter actual start and finish date. If you know the project completion date will slip, negotiate with the project sponsor. What this is telling you is that when you are doing your chatting or you're doing your diagram or your table form and you have submitted it, you've reported it, most likely you will notice that it's either you people are not going to meet up or you have to increase time. Constantly make sure to engage your stakeholders or whoever is um, on the project or the client. Just make sure to negotiate with the person and tell them based on your calculation you are wrong or you under predicted or over predicted, and there should be some form of um, understanding amongst the two of you, right? There should be some form of understanding. Emmanuel, my phone. So yeah, next slide. So we have critical change scheduling. Critical change scheduling is a method of scheduling that considers limited resources when creating a project schedule and includes buffers to protect the project's completion date. Uses the theory of constraint (TOC), a management philosophy developed by Eliyahu M. Goldratt and introduced in his book The Goal. You can read this. An attempt to minimize multitasking when a resource works on more than one task at a time. So critical chain scheduling is just when you have to work with limited resources. Most of the time, you might plan to um, use so many hands on deck, or you have to get so many contractors. But because of maybe the budget is not sufficient enough for the project, you have to be able to you have to maximize the little resources, materials that you have. You have to work with the budget. You just have to work with the budget. You just have to work with the little you have and try to capitalize on it. That's just what critical chain scheduling means. You would have to be able to uh, um manage your resources. That's just what it means to be loba. It means just being able to manage what you have and to make sure that you you reach the end of the project successfully. I hope that answers your questions. So we have agile and time management. Core values of manifesto for agile software development are customer collaboration over contract negotiations, responding to change over flowing a plan. The product owner defines and prioritizes the work to be done within a sprint. So collaboration and time management are designed into the processes. Team focus on producing a useful product in a specified time frame with strong customer input. Don't emphasize defining all the work before scheduling it. In agile, pretty much agile is it will take a little time, Grace, but rest assured when you have the slides, you'll be able to fully understand it properly. So agile and time management. Agile itself is just flexibility. Let me just give you the pro tip. Agile is all about flexibility, how you can be able to freely move from one task to another. It is not constrained, it's not rigid, it is not tied down. So when you put agile in time management, it's just saying that you being able to use your time properly with some level of flexibility, which means that the time management has to be designed by the project manager and even more likely the stakeholder or the client. You also have to emphasize on defining everything. You may be able to do multiple tasks at a go, but make sure that it still fits into the time frame that um you have planned and does not affect the project as a whole. That's just pretty much what it means. This whole slide means. So we have control suggestions. We have perform reality checks on schedules, allow for contingencies, don't plan for everyone to work at 100 capacity all the time, hold progress meetings with stakeholders, and be clear and honest in communicating schedules issues. So when you're doing your scheduling, your diagramming, your table form, whatever form you want to use, you also have to make sure that you have to um, always go back and review your diagram. You have to make sure that you leave room for challenges, leave room for defaulting, leave room for people to slack, leave room for challenges that will be unpredictable, right? But just make sure that it's something that you can be able to twat or ward off when it comes to you and your team. And make sure to be as very clear with your team members and with the stakeholders. Communication is key. If you cannot communicate to your team members properly and you cannot communicate to stakeholders, there will be lapses, there will be holes, there will be a lot of challenges that are unnecessary that you will see. So, and also make sure to be accountable too as well. So, controlling the schedule. Goals are to know the status of the schedule, influence factors that cause schedule changes, determine that the schedule has changed, and manage changes when they occur. Tools and techniques include progress report, a schedule change control system, project management software, including schedule comparison charts like Gantt chart, variances analysis such as analyzing float or slack, performance management such as earned value, chapter 7. So what it's just saying is that just make sure that your team members are giving you reports. One, make sure that you can follow the schedule and you can quickly and easily flow with the schedule that you have created. Make sure that you are tracking your progress, you are tracking your team members' progress through the Gantt chart, and make sure that the float and slack in your diagrams tally with the project and with the duration of the project. And then we have reality checks on scheduling. First, review the draft schedule or estimated completion date in the project charter. Prepare a more detailed schedule with the project team. Make sure the schedule is realistic and followed. Alert top management well in advance if there are schedule problems. Like I said, it's not only you that's going to be scheduling. You need to factor in your team members, you have to factor in the stakeholders, and you have to make sure that it's realistic. Smart goals, it's specific, it's realistic, it's attainable. You just have to make sure that it's detailed. This reality checks is just pretty much screaming smart goals all over again. Don't worry, when you get the slides, all of this will sink in. So, working with people issues. Strong leadership helps projects succeed more than good part charts. Project managers should use empowerment, incentives, discipline, and negotiations. So, most of the time, I'm sure for persons that usually work with, maybe have worked with a project manager or has worked on any project before, they I did Augie, but it was in the last class. Empowerment, you should make sure to always come with a good positive energy to come to your team members and stakeholders. Nobody wants somebody that is coming to the team that is bitter, sad, or depressed. Make sure to pray and ask God to put you in a good mood, because there are days you wake up that you're not in the best of moods, and you could just not be light to the world to some persons. You might just end up downing a lot of person's spirit. So as a project manager, you have to pray for capacity to be able to do your job properly. Then you can do incentives. You when team members are incentives help boost morale. So you could also incentivize some tasks. If they're able to, you know achieve some goals, you can make sure that there's some incentives that are attached to it. Then we have discipline. Make sure that you yourself are disciplined and you can communicate with your team members in a very disciplined and clear and respectful manner, and negotiate. Always make sure to negotiate with your team members, stakeholders. Always give room for people to also feel they are heard. It's not just you that is talking all the time. It's not just you making the decisions, because people will make it hard for you. I bet you people will make it hard for you. So in the next slide, we have using software to assist in time management. Software for facilitating communications help people exchange schedule related information. Decision support models help analyze trade-offs that can be made. Project management software can help in various time management areas. Like I advised you earlier in the last class, you could use your Google softwares. You could use your Google software apps. You could use your Excel. You could use your Excel. You could use your PowerPoint. You could use so many softwares. You could use Jira. You could use I use Sheets to be able to curate my Gantt charts. There are Primavera and Micro and MS projects, but those ones, some Primavera, you need a license, so you have to maybe do a PMP certification to get your license to have access to that. But yeah, Asana too. Yes, please list for persons that know some of this. You can list it so that you can use Teams for communications. You can use Google Meet for meetings. You can use so many softwares that I really don't have much time to explain, but I will definitely do that. You can use Google Sheets. You can use Microsoft Excel. You could use Docs for your documentations. You could use Jira to track down and to make sure that you're defining the milestones, the phases, or the tasks that you're assigning to them. And it also helps you to be able to communicate with stakeholders and your team members. And it gives you veto power as a project manager. You could also use Slack as a communication platform to communicate with the team members and stakeholders. There are so many that you can use, so many out there, and there are so many people that are still going to create new softwares and apps that you can use. Yes. So next slide, we have words of caution on using project management software. Many people misuse project management software because they don't understand important concepts and have not had training. You must enter dependencies to have dates adjust automatically and to determine the critical path. You must enter actual schedule information to compare planned and actual progress. And then um, chapter summary is the last slide. Project time management is often cited as the main source of conflict in projects, and most IT projects exceed time estimates. Main processes include plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity resources, estimate activity durations, develop schedule, control schedule. So after this is the last slide. So in a summary, this says that just make sure that when you're scheduling, you have to be able to manage your time. When you're defining your activities, it has to be clear and concise. When you're doing your sequencing, that is whatever methodology, agile, waterfall, hybrid that you choose, it should be, you should be flexible and stern at the same time. You should be disciplined when it comes to that. And then we also have estimate activity durations and resources, meaning that you should always calculate the activities and the resources, the materials, the labor. Make sure that it aligns with your budget and it aligns with the time frame that you have fixed. Don't go overpaying people for doing less. Don't underpay people for doing more. Just be just and um be compassionate as a human being, because do not extort people. It's not fair. So don't do that. And then develop a schedule and control the schedule. So you've seen how to create a schedule, the whole processes and the methodologies I put you through this week. And just be the best you can be as a project manager. So thank you for attending today's class, and I hope you were able to learn so much. You can always rewatch the classes to pick up on where you feel you might have lapses or might be struggling to understand. And yeah, we have come to the end of this week's um, topic, which is on project scheduling and tools. So thank you guys, and I hope to see you next week. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.